I am happy that my CryptoQ Media channel is back online. I still think October will be a significant month for Bitcoin, therefore now is the time to gather your possessions and be ready. While there has been some reversal, when you dig deeper, you'll find a really positive picture. Please like and subscribe if you find this helpful. I'll be explaining why I'm not freaking out about October and a couple other essential things in this video. Okay, then, I will start. My starting point is this infographic from Crypto Rover. The charts he has been sharing lately are very neat. They show how October 2023 fared compared to other years that also followed the similar trend, although those charts mostly focused on bull markets or halving years instead of October itself. Typically, a correction and subsequent explosion occur as we approach October. Even when examining historical data, last year there was a massive shift after a 7% decline into October. This is why October is such a good con artist. Remember that September is a prime example of how market behavior can defy popular expectations. Contrary to popular belief, we did not anticipate a 4 to 5% decline in September. An actual improvement of 10% was made. The month of October was expected to be a pumping month by all. People in the Bitcoin industry have unrealistic expectations that everything will happen in a flash. As a result, a huge market change is expected to occur in October. Absolutely not. People then take turns being the other. It is plainly unproductive to have this Iran-Middle East issue going on. But this deserves our focus. For those who are in it for the long haul or who are easily influenced by short-term gains, the lack of noticeable price movement in Bitcoin should never be a red flag. We anticipate a flurry of activity in the fourth quarter, particularly in the pivotal months of October and November. Moreover, sightings of BlackRock's Dubai launch have been confirmed. Actually, they did take a short rest. But you should also see these other fantastic shares that have just come in, lots more, including 873 Bitcoin, 112 Investcore 120, Franklin Templeton, and more. Some very large wallets are still operating in the Bitcoin and ETF markets. They are, once again, quite beneficial from an institutional perspective. Check out the 5,000 Bitcoin that BlackRock purchased in the last 7 days. More updates tomorrow as we head into the weekend. This weekend, if you're a fan of BlackRock, buy some. BlackRock forecasts that Bitcoin's volatility will keep reducing, so even though we usually try to stay out of big market swings, I think this one will be interesting to monitor. We may anticipate less volatility from Bitcoin as it attains its long-term investment stability. That much is clear. You don't need my guidance on this. Expand your perspective if you're still perplexed. From what we can see, the price of Bitcoin is going higher. For this reason, Michael Saylor and others are making assumptions about Bitcoin's having a value of $1 million. Michael Saylor claims that Bitcoin's value will continue to climb over the next decade, eventually reaching 30 million. The core issue is that BlackRock will explain their increasing number of institutional purchases by publicly stating that volatility is easy. The fact remains that the situation is becoming increasingly apparent to an increasing number of people. An fascinating current sentiment chart discusses the underlying feeling. When we see this kind of lateral movement, it's because everyone is in the yellow phase. No one knows with absolute certainty what will happen. If the market falls, everyone starts to panic because they think the world is going to end and that the 30,000 believers will come out of hiding. So, what exactly goes down when it comes to the market? The exact opposite is true. This is an important matter that should be carefully considered. Here, experts in the field discuss the present market climate, the factors that are causing Bitcoin's value to remain stable, and their particularly high hopes for the future of the cryptocurrency. Similar to the US dollar's recovery, Bitcoin had a brief decline before regaining its previous level of value. Here we are in the here and now, right after the US dollar reversed its downward trajectory. They seem to be putting some temporary pressure on Bitcoin. Here on the channel, you can observe that we are clearly following the DX and Y axis. A significant change occurs at point 3, and the SP 500 is as well. Due to a general aversion to danger, people tend to de-risk when the threat level increases. Nvidia, for example, has witnessed a rise of 3.5%, thus these investors are moving their money into what they regard as more secure assets. A small amount of fluctuation is observed in both the VIX and the Japanese yen. At about 8%, the volatility index of the SP 500 is also starting to go up. Most people stop using these players because of this. The author then moves on to talk about the DXY, suggesting that it could be somewhat more successful in this area. The 102nd psychological level, equivalent to around 1/118th of a degree, is now accessible. Above the 1 or 2.3 swing bottoms, there is a significant amount of resistance. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin would be ecstatic to hear that the market is heating up for assets, and maybe even the stock market if rejections start piling up. When you see these macroeconomic players, it's a sign that decision making is slowing down. Also keep it in mind. We will also talk about the prospect of a rate reduction in November. Finally, and this is a bit of a stretch, but I think it's worth mentioning, a documentary, an HBO TV show, and a plethora of other sources are supposedly publishing the documentation that will unveil Satoshi Nakamoto's identity. At this point in time, I could care less about the political ramifications of this. That Satoshi Nakamoto's identity might be exposed very soon. Aiming for the mainstream is what matters the most. Retail spending needs to come in waves because it is the most significant stimulus right now. This will temporarily lead to higher prices. There are a few people who are just in it for the short-term festivities and not for the long haul, and there are also some really speculative players. Especially when we start to look into this, I think it's worth thinking about. After viewing the HBO documentary, which seems to be about a fascinating topic, I am confident that we will start to draw more participants to the Bitcoin market. Well, then, let's take a look at Bitcoin as it presently stands. As we mentioned yesterday, holding 60,700 is a smart little play. We experienced a small setback after crossing over 61,000 during the day. Nevertheless, we are retracing our steps in an intriguing pattern. A higher high is always fantastic to see, so let's take that as a positive. Keeping ahead of the rising 50-day and 100-day simple moving averages, we are now making an upward push. This may alleviate some of the pain. Additionally, we are beginning to regain ground above the previously mentioned 64.5K break-even point. A small decline is also observed in the extremely lengthy 200-day simple moving average, which is not surprising. Another red indicator is the RSI divergence. Consequently, you'll need at least a few days. However, the most interesting part is that this corresponds to what I was discussing earlier on my live stream, where we discuss all things cryptocurrency, every day at 4 p.m. Eastern. If you look at it on the weekly candle, it coincides. It is the steepest fall we have ever witnessed. But these movements' arrival meant there would be another upward surge. You can see that pattern inside that, but you need to step back to view the forest for the trees. Its light output is significantly lower than that of more recently burned candles. Actually, there's a whole slump once every 7 days or so. A little more hope for Bitcoin on the weekly charts will be expressed if we can see this kind of upward trend next week. The increasing trend is likely to be maintained. Indeed, the pattern's applicability will not fade. We will keep a close eye out for any indications of a potential rebound over 64,000, which would be quite promising. It means a lot to me that you watched my video. Click the subscribe button and then tell me what you think when you're done.